corner onto one of those narrow streets, and there's a car coming at him. Mr. Bologna pulls over to the side to allow the car to pass. The driver of the car, in a random horrific act, pulls out a gun and sprays the Bologna's car with bullets, kills Mr. Bologna and his two sons. The youngest son survives, sees his father and his two brothers killed in cold blood right next to him. The shooter was Edwin Ramos, illegal alien, member of the MS-13 gang, had been arrested 3 times by the San Francisco Police Department. San Francisco is a sanctuary city. San Francisco refuses to turn over any illegal aliens to ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. All they had to do was pick up the phone, and ICE would have been over there like that, because gang members are the highest priority for removal from the country. This guy had MS-13 graphics tattooed on his head, on his body. He was a clear case for immediate deportation, but because they didn't pick up the phone, the 3 members of the Bologna family are dead today, and I'm representing the surviving members of the family that were attempting to sue San Francisco, and that case is in front of the California Court of Appeal right now. So that just gives you a quick survey of what I've been doing since I left Attorney General Ashcroft's office in 2003, and I'll just say a few remarks about why this is so important. And then take your questions, and I'll talk more specifically about Arizona. I helped draft the Arizona law, which is the Arizona law that's in all the news right now. I've also helped them draft previous laws, and I'll talk a little bit about that later today. But there's really 2 angles on this. Well, there are 3 angles. One angle is national security. Another angle is our economy, and a third angle is really one of culture too. And I don't know how many of you have ever read the book Who Are We? By Samuel Huntington. Samuel Huntington was a great American, a great writer, gifted Harvard professor. He just died last year. He was my thesis advisor when I was an undergraduate at Harvard. And he was actually a Democrat. He was a member of Jimmy Carter's National Security Council, but a very conservative Democrat. And he wrote this book, Who Are We? And I highly recommend it. He published it in 2005, 2006. And it's about the evisceration of American culture. What is it that makes us Americans? And he encapsulates in a wonderful book how illegal immigration and even unchecked legal immigration can make the notion of being an American something that is a forgotten relic of bygone years. That he talks about the American creed and the glue that holds Americans together. And if all we are is just a place, if we're just a geographical location on the planet where people pass through and we're nothing more than that, then what's special about America is lost. Anyway, so he talks about the cultural angle, but I want to talk a little bit about the national security angle and the economic angle. There is a huge national security angle to illegal immigration. When I was working for Attorney General Ashcroft, I started working for him just before 9/11. When the attacks happened, we acted immediately to find out as much as we could about the 19 hijackers. All 19 hijackers were aliens. All 19 hijackers entered the United States legally, but 5 of the 19 hijackers became unlawfully present. They became illegal aliens while they were here. Most of them overstayed their period of stay for their visas. Some of them were here to be students but didn't actually attend classes. And so you had them becoming illegally present once they were here. Of those 5 who were illegal aliens, 3 of the 5 were actually arrested by state and local police officers for speeding. One of them was Ziad Jarrah. He was, and Attorney General Ashcroft writes about this in his book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. Ziad Jarrah was arrested on Highway 95 in Delaware, Interstate 95, on his way to Newark to rendezvous with the other members of the terrorist cohort who were going to be boarding that plane. He was also a pilot of the plane. The officer handed him a ticket, didn't ask him, he noticed the person seemed to be of Middle Eastern descent and wasn't saying much, but beyond that, sent him on his way. Tragic opportunity, a missed opportunity, where if we had just had some interaction, some questioning by that officer, maybe he had absolute legal authority to take him into custody. If the officer had developed reasonable suspicion, he could have arrested Ziad Jarrah on the spot. Same with the other 3. And I realized, and those of the Justice Department realized, that there is an immigration enforcement angle to our terrorism problem in America. If we had enforced our immigration laws against those 3, then, and by the way, again, all 3 pilots, I guess they like driving fast, all 3 pilots could have been, 3 of the 4 pilots could have been taken out of the picture and questioned, and maybe the whole plot would have unraveled. Here's a number that is worth remembering. 3,722. That is the number of aliens apprehended on the southern border in 1 year from countries associated with terrorism. 2005, that number comes from. The Obama administration has not been releasing those numbers. The Bush administration would release numbers like this, which make clear the kind of threat we have. 3,722 in 1 year. Those are people who did not come in through ports of entry. They were arrested. They're coming from countries, terrorist, state sponsors of terrorism, countries with an al-Qaeda presence, most of the countries in the Middle East. And the Border Patrol will tell you that for every one person they arrest, there's 3 that they don't arrest. So do the rough math, you're talking 10,000 people from al-Qaeda associated countries coming in across the southern border in 1 year. Now, I'm not saying every one of those people is a terrorist, but let's just imagine very conservatively that 1 out of 1,000 is a terrorist. It's a much higher number than that, but say it's 1 out of 1,000. That's 10 terrorists entering unhindered every year over the southern border. In many cases of individuals we've prosecuted, we later learned they came in over the southern border and they are affiliated with terrorist organizations. So there is a huge national security angle to this problem. And yet you have the Democrats in Congress saying that they don't want a wall, that a wall would be unkind to our Mexican neighbors to the south, that a wall is not what America wants to hold itself out to be. Well, I think what America needs first and foremost is a government that understands the first responsibility, the first constitutional duty, which is to protect the United States. And that includes from a traditional invading army. It also includes from invading terrorists. And then I'll just end by saying a note about the economics of it all. Illegal immigration has a huge cost, and the cost is borne at all levels of government. And I'll mention this later too, the total number calculated by the Heritage Foundation is $89.1 billion a year at all levels, federal, state, and local. The lion's share of that falls at the state and local levels, which is why you have so many states like Arizona, localities like Valley Park, Missouri, which I represented, and Valley Park 1 beat the ACLU in defending its ordinance. So many of them saying, look, we can't afford this illegal immigration. Hazleton, Pennsylvania, some of you may have seen already, a decision came down to the Third Circuit today. Case I argued, unfortunately we lost. We threw a rather liberal panel of the Third Circuit. In fact, so liberal that it stands to the left of the Ninth Circuit, if that gives you any clues to where we are. So, but the Hazleton, Pennsylvania, let me give you that example. Hazleton, in Pennsylvania, it's a city of about 29,000. Their population in the 2000 census was 20,000. And then in between like 2002 and 2006, their population went up by about 50%. Massive influx of immigration, mostly illegal immigration, although we don't have the exact numbers, obviously, on how many are illegal, how many are legal. But so the population goes up by 50%, but the budget is flat. Why? Because in Pennsylvania, towns of that level do not have the authority to level sales taxes or property taxes. They have to depend on income taxes, local income taxes. Well, if your incoming population is either working off the books or is so low in income that they're not actually paying income taxes, you just had a 50% surge in population, but your revenues remain flat. The mayor of Hazleton, Lou Barletta, said, look, the city's going broke. We cannot sustain this. And he saw correctly that illegal immigration was one of the reasons for it. He also saw that they had a sleepy town in the Pocono Mountains that had a murder like once every 7 or 8 years, was now having murders regularly involving illegal aliens, involving illegal alien gangs. And so they said, we're going to take action, and that's why they did it. But so there's an economic factor, too, and that same economic factor is behind a lot of what Arizona has been seeing. And so you put this all together, the cultural factor, the illegal immigration, which is part of a broader unchecked immigration issue, the national security question, and then the economic question. You see why Americans are so concerned about illegal immigration. And it's a battle that really has to be fought at multiple fronts. We have to have a Congress and a president who are willing to pass the right laws, to not pass amnesty, which only rewards illegal immigration and invites further illegal immigration as people come in for the next amnesty or to fraudulently claim they were eligible for the one that just got passed. It's exactly what happened in 1986. And we've got to have state legislators who are willing to do the right thing at the state level. By the way, Missouri, if I were to rank the